I would like to spend some time today discussing an overall definition and explanation of Megan's laws. Some of you may already be aware of the general information on these laws, but I would like to spend some time explaining further in depth. Megan's laws have been established in memory of Megan Kanka. Megan was a 7-year-old girl from the state of New Jersey who was sexually assaulted and murdered in 1994 by a neighbor. Unknown to Megan's family, their neighbor who committed this crime had previously been convicted as a sexual offender against children. Megan's devastated parents began petitioning and caught the attention of legislators. These legislators placed pressure on lawmakers, which in turn caught the attention of other states, and they began to emulate the requirements placed on offenders to register and report themselves to local law enforcement agencies and neighbors in the community in which they reside. The purpose of the laws were to inform the public, specifically the parents of sex offenders in the area, in an effort to better protect their children. The statutes established a notification process to provide information about sex offenders to law enforcement agencies and, when appropriate, to the public. The type of notification is based on evaluation of the risks to the community from the particular offender. The brutality of crimes in the Megan Kanka case provided the motivations for laws and mandate registrations of sex offenders and corresponding community notification. In 1994, Congress passed the Jacob Wetterling Crimes Against Children and Sexual Violent Offenders Registration Act. This conditioned certain federal law enforcement funds on state adoption of sex offender registration laws and set minimum standards for state programs. By 1996, every state, the District of Columbia, and the federal government had enacted some variation of the Megan's Law. Under the federal Megan's Law statute, states have discretion to establish criteria for disclosure, but they must make private and personal information on registered sex offenders available to the public. Notification of offenders information to the community assists law enforcement during investigations, provides legal grounds to detain known sex offenders, may deter sex offenders from committing new offenses, and offer citizens information that they can use to protect their children. The legislation has undergone many adaptations in the states. While the details of the state Megan's Law differ from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, conviction of any one or more of the following offenses will require convicts to register pursuant to Megan's Laws. If they're convicted of aggravated sexual assault, aggravated criminal sexual conduct, endangering the welfare of children by engaging in sexual conduct that would impair or debauch the morals of a child, luring or enticing, kidnapping if the victim is a minor and the offender is not a parent, criminal restraint, false imprisonment. When law enforcement examines the risk factors of these offenders, there are guidelines in which they follow when considering the risk of reoffense. These include some of the following: post-incarceration supervision, status of therapy or counseling, criminal background, degree of remorse for criminal acts, substance abuse, employment or school status, psychological or psychiatric profile, or any history of threats or of the stalking locations where children congregate. Now, I'd like to spend a few moments exploring the facts of Megan's Law in the state in which we reside, Pennsylvania. Megan's Law does not restrict where sexual offenders or sexually violent predators may live in Pennsylvania. In special cases, an offender may be restricted from living near a park, a school, a daycare, and the like, that he or she may, per the website, under supervision of federal, state, or county probation or parole department with restrictions on residency, or is under specific court-ordered restrictions on residency. The Pennsylvania Megan's Law website allows people to search the database for offenders by name or by the municipality in where he or she works or lives, the zip code, the county, or even in a mile radius. The site is managed by the Pennsylvania State Police, and the information listed on the site for each offender is the only legal public information allowed under the law. The Pennsylvania Megan's Law site lists the following for each offender: their name, or aliases, birth year, their exact street address, the city, municipality, county, state, zip code of if the offender is homeless or transient, then the site lists information on a temporary residence, including a homeless shelter or park. Exact street addresses, city, municipality, county, state, or zip codes, and any name of educational institutions attended by the offender. Exact street address, city, municipality, state, county, and zip code of employment. Photographs of the offender. Identifying marks of the offender such as gender, height, weight, eye color, hair color, and their race. License plate number and description of vehicles used by the offender. Compliance with registration requirements. Whether the victim is a minor, descriptions of the offense committed, date they were convicted, date of the active registry, and a map to where the offender lives, is employed, and attends school. When the offender moves into a community by law, they are required to contact the municipality's chief of police and inform them that they are a registered sex offender. They are to tell all residents who live within 200 feet of their work or the 25 most immediate residences to their building or business they work at. Throughout the country, offenders register daily. They're among us, and most of the time we don't even know it. Currently, there are 747,408 sexual offenders registered in the United States. Most sexual offenders will not commit any crime once they are released. Only about 2.7% of that number will commit another sexual crime. In 2006, George W. Bush enacted the Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act. Not only did this act place stricter punishment on sexual offenders who commit offenses on children, but also established a tier system that places the offenders into 3 separate tiers based on the types of crimes they committed and how violent they were. This new act also set up a consistent reporting system nationwide so that no matter where their offenders moved, their information would move with them. These new provisions have assisted law enforcement agencies in tracking and interacting with offenders. The Adam Walsh tier system is as follows. Tier 3 offenders are designated as the most dangerous sexual offenders and are required to register for their entire lives. They are also required to update their information every 3 months. Tier 2 offenders are not as violent of predators, but they still committed a serious violent offense, and they're required to register for 25 years. They're required to update their information every 6 months. But if a Tier 2 offender commits another crime considered to be a sexual offense, they are automatically moved to a Tier 3, regardless of what the crime is. Tier 1 offenders is more of a catch-all, and these offenders are required to register for 15 years and update their information annually. All 3 tiers have similarities when it comes to the information that these offenders are required to record. There is no doubt that state and federal agencies have been enforcing Megan's Law in a hope to prevent crimes against innocent children so that more cases like the devastating story of Megan Kanka will be prevented. I hope that you found this information useful and are currently a parent or have hopes of becoming a parent one day and can use this information so that your child does not become another statistic in association with Megan's Law. Thank you.